Hello, friends, and welcome to the Friend Leigh Show. I am your host and friend, Leigh. I don't know. This is we're almost at episode 70. This is 69, I believe. And I just laugh every time I do that. I think it's so cute. So, anywho, welcome, welcome, welcome. If this is the first time that you're watching the show, let us know and welcome. If you are watching live, yes, you can be listening to the recording, which is great. As you know, we're on Spotify. I think we're on Apple. I think we're pretty much everywhere that you can get your podcasts. But my favorite part is when you guys come on live and watch the video recording, whether it's on Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Apparently, YouTube is where we should be because that's the big thing. I don't know. Anyway, I just stream over to all of them and then that's it. But if you are watching live, then, oh, here we go. Then my favorite part of the show happens like this. You comment, and then I get to bring it up to the screen, and Pops is here. Hey, hey. And he says, me, I'm watching live. Hello. I'm so happy that you're here. And I really hope that your wifey is going to come too, because I cannot wait for this show. This episode is going to be really great. So the way that we do this show is every month we come up with a theme that we're going to kind of center all of the shows around. And then what we do is every week we picked one of the pillars of the happy framework and we focus on that theme through the lens of that pillar. And so this theme for April is all about excuses, all the excuses that we make that, really just kind of like put us apart from the things that we want. It separates us from the happiness that we know that we want, that we have, but it's hiding us, hiding that happiness from us. And today we are going to be talking about partnerships. So that's the second P in happy. So basically relationships, any of the relationships that you have, that's what I consider a partnership. You're in partnership with that person. And so it could be your significant other, it could be your parents, it could be your kids. It could be the person that is passing you on the street. And in that moment that you guys are passing, you're in partnership because you have the opportunity to make connection. You have the opportunity to make eye contact, to smile, to nod, to wish them a good day, to see if they're okay. And that we all have that opportunity when we're in partnership, even if it's just for a moment. So with our barista, with the person that's bagging our groceries, and like I said, the person that's walking by us on the street or in the store. So today I want to talk about all of the excuses that we make and all of the kind of stories that we're telling ourselves about the relationships that we are in, and whether or not we should kind of connect on a deeper level. So, as always, at some point during the show, I give you this little disclaimer, and I'm going to do it again today, right now. I am not a healthcare professional in any way. I am simply your friend that wants to kind of start these conversations so then we can get a little bit more insight, whether it's from experiences that I've had or by you sharing experiences that you've had. If at all throughout this show, you are hearing something that you're like, oh man, that really sounds like me. I am not diagnosing you, okay? Even if it resonates with you. But I do highly recommend that you take it to your healthcare professional and say, hey, you know what? I was on this show and some people were talking and I don't know, should we check this out? And if you hear any treatments, if you hear anything that I've been doing that's been working for me, or maybe Britt comes on and talks about things that have been helping him, then take that as education, take it as entertainment if you want, but do not take it as a treatment plan for you, but take that and bring it to your healthcare professional to have a discussion. And I would love it if that could be the jumping off point to really get you the help that you need. So, that is that. So now, the way that the actual podcast episode is broken up is I am going to do kind of a quick overview of the topic and the theme. And then you are going to share your experiences with it. You're going to ask questions. You're going to make comments. You're going to either agree or disagree with something that I've said. I'll be sharing science. I'll be sharing tips. I'll be sharing all kinds of things. And then you get to be a part of the show. And then at the end, we do a lightning speed, get to know your friends, and we ask questions to each other. Well, I'll be asking you questions and I'll be answering them as well, just to get to know each other a little bit more and also to get to know ourselves. One of my things that I really want for 2025, one of the kind of New Year's resolutions that I made for myself is for me to really get to know me. I want to know myself on a deeper, deeper level. And it's something that I've been working on for years. And I just wanted to make it a little bit more intentional this year. So these questions are really cool. I like answering them. And then I love hearing your answers. So I did make some notes about this, about the blame game. That's what I called this episode, the blame game and the excuses that break connection. And then how do we choose love instead? How do we, even if our relationships around us are breaking down, there's a lot of ways that we can spark that relationship again, whether it's with our significant other or with a family member or with a friend. A lot of the time they're kind of understandings, but nobody is really having that communication. Nobody's having that talk. You each have your own story and you're not bringing that to the table. Communication's breaking down. And so the relationship is also breaking down. And so some of the excuses that we make is it's their fault, right? So-and-so did such and such a thing, and that is inexcusable. That I just can't stand for that. Can you? Can you not stand for whatever that is that they said or that they did? There's certain things that, yes, you're not going to put up with, abuse in any form. You don't want to put up with that. However, if it is a loving relationship that you have had with your significant other and they have a bad day and they snap at you, and then you're online and everybody's talking about the abusive relationship that they're in or the toxic relationship that they're in, and then you hear that and you're like, oh yeah, well, she snapped at me, so it's beginning. Might not be beginning. She might have had a bad day. You can go and talk to her and be like, hey, so from the sounds of it, you don't really want to have a discussion right now, and that's okay. But when you do, I'm here. Or, hey, do you want to talk about your day? It seems like you're a little bit anxious. You can talk to them and be curious about what's going on instead of just hearing them, get snippy with you. And then you take it personally. A lot of the times when we're snippy with each other, it's not actually personal, especially unfortunately with the people that are closest to us. Now, this is not to say that abusive relationships are okay. They are absolutely not okay. But one-offs, when they're happening, if you have a good communication with your partner, then it's not that you should just accept it and like, oh, that's just the way that they are. But you can't have conversations around it. So you want to make sure that also you're sharing responsibility in the conversations that you're having, in the blame that is being given. So instead of it's their fault, it's our fault. Our relationship is breaking down because of us. And this is, my part in this. And this is also what I see as being your part, but don't lead with what their part is, right? Take responsibility. That's something that we're lacking a lot in relationships, even with ourselves. We're not taking responsibility for the things that we can handle or that we should be doing. And then we're also not taking responsibility for the relationships that we're having with other people. There's a bunch of studies about this, but there was a study by the Gottman Institute, and that they just said that in relationship psychology, it shows that couples who take shared responsibility have more resilience and satisfaction long term. So they're able to bounce back even from the hardest times that they may have, if they are able to kind of share the responsibility and share what's going on instead of just doing the blame game that it is their fault, it's the partner's fault. Another excuse that we're doing is we're avoiding. We don't want to say something. We don't want to rock the boat. And all that does, when we don't want to rock the boat, it leads to resentment. It does not lead to peace. We're not keeping the peace. You may be keeping the silence, but you're not keeping peace. You're building resentment when you're saying, I don't want to rock the boat. Now, in certain instances, not critical, but like when something is just like acute, I guess is what I'm trying to say. if your partner's having a really bad time, like something's really going on one weekend or one night, you don't have to like say, oh, also, by the way, I'm dealing with this. You could just let them feel their feelings and then have that conversation tomorrow. That's okay. But that's not rocking the boat. That's not avoiding it. That's placing it where it belongs, saying, you know what? She's just not in the mind set right now to be able to have a conversation about this issue. So I'm just going to table it until tomorrow. In your head, you can think this. And then tomorrow I'm going to have the conversation with her or him or whatever it is. And so that's not rocking the boat. That's just being respectful of where your partner is at. But if you avoid being emotional, if you avoid having those conversations, then you're going to have resentment because it's going to keep building. And that piece, it's just going to be silence. It's going to bottle up. And then the next time that something similar happens, instead of just being like, hey, it happened again, or they think, oh, shoot, you know what? He really didn't like it when I did this thing. Or, oh, this really hurt his feelings. I want to do it a little differently. Instead, they don't know. And so they just do it again. And then it just keeps building, resentment. And then you just fly off the handle and you can't stand the person anymore. And that is how 20-year relationships just end up going into a divorce like this, 15-year relationships, 10-year relationships. And it's like, I didn't even see this coming. Yeah, because you didn't talk about it. So we can't avoid each other and we can't avoid uncomfortable conversations. We can't avoid, like talking to each other about the things that are going on. Suppressed emotions in relationships is just a science insight. Suppressed emotions in relationships correlate with increased anxiety, reduced intimacy, and even physical health issues. I'm seeing it everywhere here in the hospital, like everywhere. I feel like if they would have more therapy here, I think this would be a perfect place to have whether it's a private practice or have just social workers here that people could go and talk to. Oh my God. I think so many things would get resolved here. But that's not part of the game plan. But it all, when we're suppressing those emotions, they lead to health issues. And the reduced intimacy part is, you are like, I can't stand the sight of him anymore. No, it's not the sight of him. He's still as cute as he was when you married him. I mean, maybe he's not, but my guy is. But he still looks the same. So it's not that you can't stand the sight of him. You can't stand what's the barrier between you two. And that's usually, intimacy, but not physical intimacy. That's the intimacy of the trust and the connection that we're having. So just using avoidance as an excuse, that's the other one. And then the other big myth or the big excuse that we use, like, I shouldn't have to tell him how I'm feeling because he should just know. He's my person or she's my person. They should know. Okay. How many times do we do things and we're like, oh my gosh, I don't know why I did that. Or I don't know what I'm feeling. I'm just like, I'm so frustrated right now. If you don't know what you're going through, if you don't know what you're feeling, if you don't know how to process the thing that you're going through, how is your partner supposed to know? That's really unfair, really, really unfair. So we can't expect other people to be mind readers, especially our intimate partners. We think because they've been around us so much and we've shared so much with them that they should know everything, but you've lived with yourself for your entire life and there's still things that you just don't see coming. So it's just really unfair. And then that ends up building that whole resentment as well. Like, well, I'm just not even going to say anything because he should just know. Okay, but life would be so much easier if you would just tell him or her, So having clear, compassionate communication between you two, that's how the door of communication opens. The connection opens is by having communication and being crystal clear about things that are going on, especially if you don't know what's going on, but being clear about that. Being clear about, I don't know what's happening. I'm really frustrated. This is how I'm feeling, and explaining all of that. It's really important. And then so those are kind of like overarching excuses that we make, or myths that we talk about, stories that we tell ourselves. But another excuse, like just the one-off kind of things, is I'm too busy. to really connect. Hi. The other excuses are I'm too busy to connect. I'm too busy to have a conversation. I'm too busy to spend time. A lot of the time, I think I've told you guys this before, you could be in like crisis, and you can't even speak. You're crying so much. Having a conversation for 8 minutes with somebody that you know and trust can change everything. And I have been on both sides of it, where friends know that, I'm busy. I've got a lot of stuff going on, but they know that if they text me, if my close friends text me and say, got 8 minutes, I will drop everything for them and I will give them 8 minutes, because it usually doesn't even take 8 minutes. But the problem is that we don't have people in our life that we feel like we can connect with and have that 8 minutes. And so that 8 minutes turns into a panic attack of 20 minutes or an hour. And then it turns into resentment and all of this stuff. So don't be too busy. I don't want to be needy. I don't want to come across as that nag. There's no such thing. So there's some people that are just like naggy and complaining and needy. But needing to talk to your partner, or needing to talk to your friend about what is going on in that relationship that you need, the support that you need, that is not being needy. That's just being aware of what your needs are and expressing that. And then if they're able to reciprocate and give you what you need, then great. If they're not, great. Then you know where you stand, right? You know who they are, or maybe just what capacity they have at the time. So those are all just walls that we put up, or that's just the way that I am, or that's just the way that they are, and brushing it off. It's not. We change, right? If we didn't change, then we would all be like adult bodies crawling around, but we don't. We crawl, and then we walk, and then we can run, but we're not all crawling on the ground, right? So we do change, and we change the way that we think. Things that you thought were okay when you were 20, and then you become 30 or 40 or 50, and you're like, what was I thinking? Proof that you change, you grow. And so you should expect that the people in your life are also changing and growing. So just saying things like, that's just the way that they are, isn't fair. It's just the way that they are because they don't know that there's a different way, or that maybe you need them to show up in a different way. They may be feeling, I don't want to feel needy, so they're not talking about their feelings. It's a two-way street. So a couple things I'm just going to leave you guys with about kind of like tangible action steps that you can be taking to kind of create this connection with people. You can do the 8-minute rule, where, if you really need somebody or people in your life, you can offer that to them. You're not going to offer it to everybody. I'm not going to come on the show and say, hey, just text me and I'll give you 8 minutes, because I don't have 8 minutes to give the world, right? But I have 8 minutes to give the very dear people in my life. Mike knows a couple of my really close friends that I know that they would be there for me and I would be there for them. We know that there's 8 minutes there. And I hope that you have a circle like that. But sometimes even just if you can't get 8 minutes from somebody else, journaling for 8 minutes can also do it, if you just kind of get all of that off of your chest. Also doing a 15-minute check-in with whether it's your friends or your partners or your parents or your kids, and having just a 15-minute, no phone, no judgment space that you can kind of talk about what's going well, where can you grow, how can we show our love a little bit better, what do they need. It doesn't take a long time. 15 minutes. It's all that you need. Thinking about the mirror first rule, where instead of you pointing the finger and saying, you treated me like this, you made me feel like this, look at it before you go to that person and say, how did I contribute to this situation? Because there's always 3 stories. There's your story, their story, and then the real story. And that real story is always blurred, always. So you need to be able to look at what your part was before you go and talk to them. And what you think your part was may not be what they saw as your part. So that's why communication is really, really important. And then 3 sentences that we can be practicing when we're in communication is, I feel, fill in the blank, when fill in the blank. Instead of saying you do this to me or you make me feel, nobody can make you feel anyway. I feel such and such when such and such happens. I appreciate it when you be letting people know what you appreciate about them and what they do, because then that positive reinforcement will make them want to do more. And then, can we try blah, blah, blah together this week? Whatever you want to do. And you say, oh, you know what? I don't spend enough time with my partner. Pick something that you would like to do. Hey, can we try going for a walk this week? Can we? And have that conversation. So, okay. I kind of went full blown onto this. One more kind of science-backed research that came out of UCLA. It showed that active listening. So that isn't listening in order for you to be able to find out how you can talk. It's you listening and then engaging. And being vulnerable actually releases oxytocin. So that's the bonding hormone. If you've listened to my TED Talk, it was like 8 minutes, something like that. I talked all about oxytocin. So that bonding hormone, that will actually lower your stress in your relationship, but also stress in your own body, and deepens intimacy. And so it doesn't take a lot. And people talk about intimacy, that they haven't been, with their partner in such and such a time. It doesn't matter when you've been in bed with your partner. It matters when you've been in their heart, when you've had deep connection. That's the intimacy that we're losing well before we lose anything else. So, all right, let's go and see what we've got going on here. So Pop says, yes, I'm so thankful that Mel understands my anxiety is going through the roof for the next couple of months. However, I feel guilty for checking out of everything and leaving her emotional needs checked out as well. Okay, so Britt, this is really, really good. But if you're saying that you feel guilty, what my question would be, so do you really feel guilty? Because if you do, I would have a conversation with Mel and just say, hey, this is where I'm at. She understands where you're at with the anxiety, especially in the next couple of months as you're figuring everything out and you're going to get your answers. So your anxiety is going to be high, but are there, maybe Mel would be able to tell you certain things that you could do that are kind of not big things, but maybe there's some little things that you could be doing to give her that emotional connection that she needs. And you shouldn't feel guilty if you're having that conversation and if she understands it, right? Because then you'll just get out of it. Right now, we're in a really funky part of our relationship, Mike and I. It's 2025 has been hospitals and not being together very much. And we just know this is just like a shitty season that's happening. And we're going to, stay connected as much as we can. We do video chats when we can. We see each other as often as we can, even though we live in the same condo. Again, I'll be sleeping here tonight, so I'm not going to see him today. That's just the way that it is. But having that communication makes it a lot easier, because then there's not that resentment. And if somebody needs one, like if he needed me to be there with him tonight, I would definitely make that work. But he makes it clear that he doesn't. And so that's why I'm here. Mel says, hey, sorry I'm late. That's okay. I'm glad you're here though. And then she says, yes, 100% that last part. Okay, sorry, that's bad timing on my part. Is that 100% about Britt feeling guilty about checking out of everything and leaving her emotional needs checked out as well? Or the part that I said? Anyway, just curious, Mel. Sorry. Hello. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in so long. Okay, so hi, Lee. Good to see you. I haven't been here in a while. No, you haven't. I missed you. Okay, the statements you just made, I can relate to, but the relationship is with my job. Oh, that's very good. Okay. Been with them for 15 years, have moments of can't stand it, so I avoid it, sometimes by taking personal days off. You ended by saying something about a two-way street. Well, the job isn't tangible and doesn't talk back. It's just take. Do you also see work as a metaphor when it comes to dealing with relationships? Yes. Okay. So this is really good. Again, I'm not a relationship coach, but I will say, so yes, it is a two-way street. But what you can also see is so the job is you feel it's take, take, take because it's that whole resentment thing. You don't want to be there. Then why stay? So it's giving you something. What is it giving you? Is it giving you maybe just security? Is it maybe giving you security for the future because maybe you have a good pension, whatever it is? Is it giving you just the paycheck and that's what's giving you security right now? Are there people there that are giving you connection? So even though it can feel like it's take, 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 you get the opportunity to be able to look at it and see what is it giving you, because otherwise you would leave, right? So there's something there. And that's up to you to kind of see. And that also happens in relationships. Like that's why we need to do that mirror work. We need to see, what our place is, but then also like look to see where they're at. So for you, for with the job, what is it that it's giving you? Can you find that somewhere else? You've been there for 15 years. Okay. So what kept you there for 15 years? And you also said that you have moments of that you can't stand it. So it's not, a lot of people say, I can't stand my job and I need out. So if there's just moments, are there also moments that are giving you, pride? Are there moments that are giving you happiness? Are there moments that are giving you something that you need? I'd be very curious, but I'm so happy that you're here. You always have such great just insights and questions and comments. So thank you for being here. Mel says the last part of what you said after the 3 sentences. Okay. So Mel says, Pops and I do a great job of communicating. That is awesome. Okay. So what I will say is that is amazing. And I know that you guys do. I think that's really beautiful. I like to say that Mike and I have really good communication. He has taught me so much when it comes to communication. But there's still parts that I kind of fall into where I'm not being as clear about my needs. I'm not being as clear about the things that I need. And I think we all fall into that a little bit, especially if somebody else is going through a hard time. So Britt's going to be going through a really hard time. He's been for a bit now, and he will be for the next couple months into the summer. And so I just wonder if there are parts of you that you're holding back to protect him, which is beautiful. But also you have to understand that you're holding it back so you don't resent it, and then maybe scheduling time later on to be able to talk to him about it. So Mel says, was it Game Zone Dr. Forever? Is that what I'm remembering? Oh, I hope that's what it was. Are you saying yes too much and need to say no? Very good, Mel. Very good, Mel. Yeah, I'm saying yes too much. Yep, you got it. Okay, awesome. Game Zone Doctor Forever. Awesome. That's really good, Mel. And so, Game Zone Doctor, you said, is it a metaphor also for relationships? And it is, because sometimes we just give. And so we feel, because we're giving, that the other person is just taking, but really they're just receiving because you're giving so much, right? So that's a really good point, Mel. Maybe you are just saying yes, and you can set boundaries in order to make the relationship, but the job more of what you need, more of, not necessarily what you signed up for, because I believe with work, we really should, and just like our relationships, we should be giving more than we signed up for. Like it just feels good. But not giving to the point that we can't give anymore, So really good. I'd be curious about that too. Okay, so now they're going to come up and say that visiting hours are over. But since I'm staying here tonight, I'm going to take an extra 10 minutes and I am going to pull up the questions because we do a lightning round. And so visiting hours is now over. Visiting hours are now over. Okay, so we'll just do a quick 10 minutes. So lightning round questions. So what I did is I wanted to ask about this. So we're just going to do the top 3 or the first 3. I don't even know if they're any good. Like I said, I got ChatGPT to do it for me. So then I would be able to be quite surprised by the questions too. So here are the 3 questions, and you can just answer one at a time. I will be saying them a couple times, okay? So what is a harmless excuse that you catch yourself using in relationships? Oh, that's a good one. What is a harmless excuse that you catch yourself using in relationships? Number 2, are you more likely to speak up or shut up during a conflict? That's a good one. And 3, how do you show love when words are hard? Okay, that's good. So I'll get started. So for me, what's a harmless excuse that you catch yourself using in relationships? I would say harmless is actually a funny word because we think it's harmless, we think it's innocent, but a lot of them, if it keeps going, it can be kind of insidious. But I would say that my excuse is I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to be like, I don't want to be a nag. I don't want to be. And so it seems harmless, but I use it a lot in relationships. And so it becomes that people pleasing kind of thing. Like, oh, I'll just like kind of like being a martyr. I don't like being that person. I do try to change it. I try to be aware of it, but that is something that I do in relationships. Oh, speaking of relationships, hey Bubba. Palazzo Podcast, Fantasy Baseball. That's my man right there. Everybody give him a follow or a like. What do we do on YouTube? Follow? Subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe. And you guys, Fantasy, I know that you guys have seen his stuff. But you don't have to like pay attention just for fantasy. So even if you just like the game, they have some really, really good conversations in their podcast. I highly recommend that you go and see them. Okay, so Mel says boldness, sit up tall, breathe, feel that backbone and picture yourself saying no. It's freedom. I was raised to say yes to your boss because they're your boss. However, it's different when you're being taken advantage of. Freedom. Picture that and write what that looks like. Very nice, Mel. I love it. I love it. Mel says, number 1, same as yours. Okay. Yeah. I think that's partially social conditioning as women. I think that's kind of like, in all of like the sitcoms that we grew up with, it was like that, it was the nag, and it was always like teasing about like the old ball and chain and all that kind of stuff. And it was funny for the shows, but I think it kind of like put that into our brain, like, oh, we don't want to be that person. And I think the people that worry about it, like you, Mel, and me, we're not actually the ones that with the problem. We're not the nags. The nags actually don't even realize that they're doing it, I think. Anyway, Pop says that the harmless excuse is what I mentioned, that she already knows why I'm getting more disengaged. Okay, so yes. So again, harmless, right? But it is an excuse. And so just having that conversation and kind of checking in. But if you guys have a conversation about it and you're like, okay, that's good, we're just in the season, then that's good. But I just worry, Britt, about that guilt that you're feeling. I'd rather you just get rid of the guilt and just ride this wave. But if you have guilt around it, I think that deserves a conversation. How you can just get rid of it. Guilt is such a heavy, unnecessary emotion. So number 2 was, are you more likely to speak up or shut down during a conflict? And for me, first, when I read it, I thought it was shut up, and that would be me. I think more often, I just, if you think that 2 + 2 is 5, have it. Like, I'm getting to the point that I just don't want to argue very much about anything. Do I shut down during a conflict? Yeah, I do. The benefit of having a really good communication with my partner is that he can see that I shut down and he can bring it out of me, right? Like he can see like, okay, well, I'm going to give you space, but we're going to come back to that because there's something there. So I have always been one to kind of shut down, but I am trying to speak up more. And I bring up uncomfortable conversations with family and friends because I know that they're usually going on the other end too. And so I've told you guys this before. Brene Brown has this really good thing that she talks about, and it's just, I want to check the story. I want to just check my story. This is the story that I'm saying in my head about the thing that we talked about. Is it legit? Is there anything there? And doing that 90% of the time, the other person on the receiving end is like, no, I wasn't even thinking that. Like, no, I didn't take offense to that or whatever. But then you just get it out. And so checking your story, I think, is a good way of doing that. Game Zone Doctor says his harmless excuse is, I'm the only one who can do the job when it comes to work. It's a big one, man. That sounds like the excuse of every entrepreneur, really, when they first start a business too. And in personal relationships, we are soulmates. Okay, so when you say that that's the excuse, we're soulmates, does that mean that like you feel like that kind of keeps you from having to have conversations about stuff because you guys should just know each other really well? I'm curious what you mean by that. That's interesting. But yeah, that is such a fallacy, but we all feel that way. We feel that way if we take pride in the work that we do, but I can assure you that other people can do it. And if they can't do it, if you do it at 100% and the next person that comes in is going to do it at 90%, is the job still going to get done? And is it going to still get done well? Probably. That extra 10%, that delta there, might not even be necessary if it's going to make you have more peace at your job, right? Like we have to kind of getting it done versus having it perfect. Sometimes just getting it done is enough. And that comes from like a recovering perfectionist, trust me. So Pop says number 2 is, in outside conflict, I'm a peacemaker and will speak up in my own, I shut down. That's fair. I like that distinction. Man, it's dry in here. Okay. And then Mel says, number 2, speak up. However, it depends. I try to focus first. If it's important, speak. And if not, get up and slowly walk away. That's a good one. Making that distinction between, is this even a fight worth fighting? Right? Like, is this even, or are you just with somebody that's just like going to bitch and complain anyway? Yeah, you can just leave that conversation. That's a really good one. Excuse me, you guys. And sorry if you're listening to this in the audio. I'm sure my voice is getting really crackly. Okay, so Game Zone Doctor says conflict. Shut down again at work. That is not the place to argue too strongly. You're on a short leash for replacement. In personal relationships, we're always told happy wife, happy life. Okay, yes, that is a saying. But what does it do for the hubby, right? Like, what does it do for the partner if you're just constantly making the wife happy? And this comes from a wife. I don't want my husband just always making me happy and just like shutting his mouth and like not saying his feelings, because I don't want in 20 years for us to have so much resentment that it's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, right? I think that communication and uncomfortable conversations are just as important for you to have a really happy wife and a happy life. That part about not arguing too strongly, I think there's diplomatic ways of you speaking up at work without really, you don't really have to fight at work, but you can say what's going on. There's ways of doing that. Again, I'm not a professional in that, but it's sticky, but I would definitely think about ways to do that, especially if you're feeling if you're feeling like I hate my job and you're thinking about leaving. This is the perfect time to try to make amends and try to figure out, how can I make this job worthwhile and going to it? Because otherwise, if you stay the course, you're going to end up leaving anyway, or you're going to get fired, and then you're going to be even more pissed because you're going to be like, I should have quit years ago and now they're firing me. So now's the time to like really start. You're having this conversation for a reason, you know? And Mel says, oh girl, Game Zone. Sometimes that short leash has an extension that you may not be able to see. Boom. I love that. That's so good. Oh, you guys are my favorite part of the show. I love you, love you, love you. Okay. So that third one is, how do you show love when words are hard? For me, it's really easy. Eye contact. I think that's one of the biggest things that we're missing. And I think that if you can make eye contact and smile or cry or just show emotion, I think that's the best way to show somebody that you love them is by showing them your real you, whatever that is at the moment, whether it's really feeling sad or really feeling happy or whatever it is, looking them in the eye and letting them feel that emotion. I think that's the best way to show them love, you know. Mel says hugs and just being available. Yes, that's huge. That is absolutely beautiful. Guys, I'd love to hear what yours are. Game Zone Doctor says a box of chocolates. Okay, well, then that's awesome. I would love for you to show me that you love me because I love chocolates. Although Mike and I, today was day 1 of Whole Foods. We're just going to really try all of the stuff that I'm seeing around this hospital. I'm just like, damn, we really need to start eating better, like just eating real food and stop all of this toxic shit. So that was an aside, but it's what we're doing today. So we'll see how it works out. Mel says accessible and available. Beautiful. And then Britt says a hug, doing the things that I should have already been doing or should have already done and should have been doing all along. Oh, that's nice. Okay. So, but you know what? Shoulda, woulda, coulda, who cares? Going forward, we just do our best with what we've got. And, you know, the thing that we need to remember is that we're always doing our best, even if in retrospect, we look back and it's like, shit, I could have done it way differently. Yeah, because you have more information now. You have more information. You're a different person. You've taken in a lot more experience. And so we can't be hard on ourselves about what we did before or what we didn't do before. Right now, this moment is the only moment that we truly have. And if we're blessed enough to have more moments in the future, just make those the best ones with whatever we've got now, you know? So that is it. So I love you guys so much. We definitely had a little bit of a longer chat now. This was very exciting. I can't wait to get back to our hour episodes, you guys. That will come as soon as my sister's out of the hospital. We will get back to that. But thank you for being with me right now. I love you, love you, love you so much. If you're listening to this in the audio version, please come on over on Wednesdays, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, whatever the equivalent is for you. The Friend Leigh Show. You can find us on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I do it through my personal, so Leanne, hello. And I'd love to see you guys next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about the why in the happy framework. So youthfulness and the excuses we make and why we don't do that more often. So Pop says, have a great evening and coming week. Mel says, continued prayers for your sister and love you. I love you guys so much. GZ, thank you so much for being here. It was really great to see you. I hope I get to see you next week. And Britt, Mel, thank you for being here. Aw, GZ, good show. Miss you. I miss you too. Can't wait to see you next week. Love you guys. Bye.